Okay, picture this. It's New York City, cold morning, December 1978. You wake up, grab the paper, and bam! A headline that's gonna stick. A huge heist at JFK Airport.
Yeah, not just any heist. This was at the Lufthansa cargo terminal.
Right, and it wasn't just, messy or clumsy. It was slick, so well done. It felt like you were watching a movie, not reading the news.
Absolutely. Like something straight out of a mob film, really. The precision was quite something. Makes you wonder how they actually managed it.
Exactly. And that's what we're digging into today in this deep dive because, it looked like Hollywood, but this was very, very real. We want to unpack the plan, how they executed it, which seemed flawless at first, but also critically what happened after.
Because that's where it gets really dark, doesn't it? That perfect crime idea. It kind of dissolves. It was more like a ticking time bomb, really.
Yeah, a time bomb that just blew up the whole crew eventually. We'll get into the mastermind, the unbelievable amount of money, and the betrayals. Lots of betrayals.
It's a story with layers. Definitely sticks with you.
All right, so let's get into the plan itself. The audacity of it. The guy pulling the strings, the mastermind, was Jimmy Burke. Anyone who knows their mob history or even just seen Goodfellas knows that name.
Right, Jimmy the Gent, an associate of the Lucci's crime family. Not actually a made man, which is an important distinction, maybe?
Yeah, it meant he wasn't Italian, couldn't be formally inducted, but he ran with them, had their protection, their network, which gave him serious clout.
Definitely. It let him assemble a crew for this specific job that was, well, experienced. These weren't rookies. The sources call them armed, ruthless, and ready to strike pros.
Seasoned criminals, basically, handpicked by Burke. But you need more than muscle for something this big, right? You need inside help.
Absolutely. And they got it. A crucial tip-off came from a Lufthansa employee, a guy named Louis Werner. Apparently he owed a lot of money. Gambling debts, I think.
Ah, the classic motivation. So Werner spills the beans.
Yeah, he tells them about this huge shipment coming in from West Germany. Cash and jewels. And the key detail, it was arriving early morning, December 11th, and supposedly lightly guarded.
Lightly guarded. For millions. That sounds almost too good to be true.
Well, that was the intel. For a crew like Burke's, that's like gold dust, an open invitation almost.
What exactly was the treasure they were after?
Okay, get this. $5 million. In cash. Untraceable U.S. bills. Plus nearly another $1 million worth of jewels.
Wow. So over $6 million total. Back in 1978.
Exactly. You adjust that for inflation, you're talking, what, over $25 million today? Maybe more. It was completely off the chart.
It was the largest cash robbery in American history at that point, wasn't it?
By far. Nothing else even came close. It really set a new benchmark for criminal ambition, I suppose. Changed the whole landscape.
Unbelievable. So they had the inside track, the crew, this mind-blowing target. Planning is one thing, though. Pulling it off is another. How did the actual execution go down?
It was clinical. That's the word that keeps coming up. They hit the cargo terminal at 3 a.m. Dead of night, skeleton crew on duty.
Smart timing.
Very. The gang rolls in, ski masks, guns. They didn't waste any time. They stormed the building, controlled the situation almost immediately.
So no big struggle, no alarms going off right away.
Apparently not. Within minutes, they had the employees tied up. The night staff basically threatened into silence and cooperation. Then the demand. Open the vault.
But it just worked.
Unbelievably, yeah. It worked. It almost suggests they knew exactly what the security setup was, where the weak points were. That insider info paying off big time.
They weren't just guessing then.
No, seemed like they had a clear path. They loaded up the vans, all that cash, all those jewels, over $6 million worth, and just went.
Yeah, and the most amazing part, not a single shot fired.
That's right. Total control, total intimidation. The whole thing took, what, just over an hour? Start to finish?
An hour to steal millions and disappear.
By dawn, they'd melted back into the city, left behind tied-up employees, an empty vault, and barely any clues. It looked perfect.
Yeah, you can imagine them thinking they'd done it. The perfect crime. Coasting. Rich beyond their wildest dreams. Easy street.
You'd think so. On the surface, it's textbook. Get in, get the loot, get out clean, no one caught, millions gone.
But this is where the story really shifts gears, doesn't it? Where that perfect image starts to crack. And things get really, really ugly.
That's exactly right. Because first off, the money. It vanished completely, never recovered. Not $1 bill, none of the jewels ever officially turned up again.
Which is a mystery in itself. But not the biggest twist here.
No, because while the FBI and police are scrambling, looking for the money, something way more sinister starts happening. the guys who did the heist, they start disappearing, one by one.
And all roads lead back to Jimmy Burke.
Pretty much. Burke had this reputation, paranoid, ruthless. The sources say he just started cleaning house. Anyone he thought might talk, anyone who knew too much, anyone who might want a bigger piece of the pie later on.
He saw them as loose ends.
Exactly, loose ends that needed tying up permanently. So, in the weeks and months right after this supposedly perfect robbery, crew members start turning up dead.
How?
Shot, strangled, some just vanished, never seen again. It became this gruesome pattern.
Jeez. So the crew that pulled off this incredible score together is now being hunted by their own leader.
That's the chilling reality of it. It speaks volumes about the internal dynamics, doesn't it? Especially when that much money is floating around. The authorities, they were pretty sure Burke was orchestrating it all.
But they couldn't prove it.
Not directly. Not for the heist itself or these murders initially. Burke was smart. He was feared. He built this wall of silence around himself, mostly through sheer terror. People were too scared to talk.
And we actually have some insight from inside Burke's circle, right? From Henry Hill.
Yeah, Henry Hill. Key figure in Goodfellas, later turned informant. He was close to Burke, involved in the periphery of things, and he flat out said it wasn't just the cops they feared.
What was it then?
He said, paranoia and greed destroyed the crew from within. It just ate them up from the inside out, like a cancer.
Wow. So the biggest threat wasn't the FBI, it was each other.
Precisely. The pressure, the mistrust, the fear someone would rat them out or try to take more. It's classic underworld stuff, but on a massive scale because the stakes were so high here.
So what happened to the crew in the long run?
Well, by the early 80s, so just a few years later, almost everyone directly involved was either dead, had disappeared completely, or was doing serious time in prison for other crimes the feds eventually nailed them on.
The heist basically signed their death warrants or their prison sentences.
In one way or another, yes. The score cost them everything.
And Burke himself, did he get away with it?
Eventually, no. He got sent up the river for other charges, unrelated, ironically enough. He ended up dying in prison.
But it's 6 million plus.
Yeah.
Still just gone.
Still officially missing. Vanished without a trace. The best guess. Probably stashed, spent gradually, or laundered bit by bit through Burke's various criminal enterprises over the years. Melted into the underworld economy.
So that's why this story is still so legendary, isn't it? It's not just the insane amount of money.
No, it's the whole package. The clever plan, the flawless start, the huge mystery of the missing cash. But mostly, I think, it's the betrayals, the sheer brutality of the aftermath.
It really strips away any glamour, doesn't it?
Completely. It shows the really dark, nasty side of greed and that kind of ambition.
It really does. People still sometimes call it the perfect crime, looking at that initial success, the clean getaway, the fact the money was never found.
Yeah, I get why they say that, looking just at the first hour or so.
But as we've laid out, calling it perfect, it just doesn't fit, does it?
Yeah.
It was fundamentally self-destructive. It imploded.
Absolutely. It wasn't perfect. It was a time bomb, like you said earlier.
Yep.
It destroyed pretty much everyone it touched.
Which maybe tells you something fundamental about organized crime, right?
I think so. It's the brutal truth, isn't it? Even if you pull off the score of a lifetime, perfectly executed, biggest haul ever, the internal rot, the paranoia, the greed, the fear, it almost always starts. And sooner or later,
The blood starts to flow.
yeah, it tears itself apart from the inside. That internal pressure is often way more destructive than anything law enforcement can do from the outside.
It's just an incredible story. Haunting, really. The audacity is stunning, that initial precision, almost admirable in a purely technical sense, but then it's completely swallowed by the human cost.
That contrast is what makes it so compelling. Flawless execution versus this horrific, bloody unraveling.
And I think what this deep dive really highlights, maybe more than anything, is the reality of crime on this level. It just obliterates that fantasy of the perfect score,
Totally. It shows how those internal forces, the paranoia, the greed, they're like a disease. They just corrupt and destroy everything, even the most quote-unquote successful operations. There's no real honor among thieves when the stakes get that high.
So here's something to maybe chew on after we wrap up today. If the money was never really enjoyed, if almost everyone involved ended up dead or locked away, can you actually call the Lufthansa heist successful in any real sense?
That's the question, isn't it?
Or was it just this massive, ultimately pointless act of self-destruction that left behind nothing but a bloody cautionary tale?
Right.
What does that tell you, really, about the actual value of money gotten that way?